All right, let's talk. It's time to be a villain. And for me, that context it's not as simple as oh, you be a villain, you're a bad guy, you hurt people, you. It's different for me when I talk about being a villain. First of all, when it comes to a lot of these TV shows and the movies, the villains are always smart for real. They're always telling the truth. They have compelling stories and they make the hero so fucking stupid. But that's a different conversation. On this journey as villains, we're still the protagonists. We're not going out of our way to hurt people. We're choosing ourselves. And also, let me just say that villains make for great heroes because they know the wickedness of this world. They aren't delusional. So if you want to be a villain, you have to stop being delusional. In order to stop being delusional, you have to have your own identity. You know what I mean? So it's time to grow up in a sense where you're not trying to be like this person or that person or this person. You can have idols, that's fine. Stop trying to emulate others. Stop trying to imitate these people. Okay? You're not them. They're not you. Hold on real quick. I'm gonna put my phone on do not disturb or whatever. Yeah, so they're not you. You're not them. You'd be a fool. You know how unique you are. You know how special you are. But this society that you live in, they want to turn you into a square. They want to shape you into being exactly what they want you to be. They want you to be a bot. They want you to be entrenched, immersed in this matrix. So you can't see any way out. And that your solutions are only the solutions that they laid out for you. It's like life as a parent. You know what I mean? It's you give children the options and they have the illusion of choice. You know what I mean? Me personally, the way I handle things with my child, I pretty much let her decide anything that won't harm her. Uh, but still within the confines of what I would want for her. But in the society, in the matrix, is far worse. You know what I mean? I'm not raising my daughter to submit to a system, to a dying system, might I add, to a dying system that does not favor its occupants, and it was perfectly crafted that way. Part of being the villain is that you will realize, like, you'll speak out against it, and the very people that you're trying to aid, that you're trying to wake up, that you're trying to help, they'll attack you for it. They have Stockholm syndrome in a sense. They don't know it. They don't know exactly what they're protecting, and they'll look at you like you're the crazy one. Perhaps you are. They'll look at you like you're the insane one. Perhaps you are. Part of being a villain is you have to be insane. And I don't mean insane where you're just going fucking cuckoo and, you know, you're not relatable to some degree and you're just throwing shit at people, like literally. It has to be a method to your madness. Remember what I said, that the villains in these stories and these TV series and the movies, they're intelligent. You have to be intelligent. Part of being a villain is being intelligent and knowing what forces are being used against you. So the date is February 21st, 2025. We've been dealing with this, this pandemic thing, you know, what have you. And there was, I'm trying to beat around the bush a little bit. By the way, villains don't beat around the bush. The only reason why I'm doing this is because I want people to hear this message. But there was this experimental antidote that was being passed around. And quite frankly, I resisted. I knew I wasn't going to take it. I believed the people who spoke out against it. And when they spoke of early preliminary consequences of taking said antidote, I knew that I wanted no parts. I knew going into it I wanted no parts. I didn't want that for my child. I stood firm. You know, all the marketing, all the tickers at the bottom of the screen on the news, they tell you how many people passed away from this experimental pandemic, if you will. And I stood firm. Everybody around me, I watched them sign up to get the antidote and get the antidote uh, boosted. And I watched the bad things happen. I take no pride in that. But I bring this up because now, fast forward, studies coming out left and right, all types of studies. Um, New studies find that this antidote is doing this, that, and that. You know what I mean? It's unfortunate. And although I worry about the people around me and my loved ones, because just because I'm a villain doesn't mean I don't care for people. I care deeply, so much so that I made a fool out of myself by showing my stance. I could have, honestly, I could have been quiet and I would have no problems. I could have just spoke the language, which in some regards is very powerful. Just speak the language. People don't need to know your business. You know, my whole life I prided myself on being honest. And it wasn't until recently I realized when it's nobody's business, I can lie all I want. You know what I mean? Did you file your tax? Oh, I was the first one to do it. Are you kidding me? I was the first one, you know? Because I found that sometimes it's more important to save your energy, to preserve yourself. All right, because you have to be fully equipped for all the forces that may be used against you. All right. And back to what I was saying about villains being intelligent, you have to see the field to the best of your ability. You have to see, you have to identify the forces that are being used against you. Okay, this is very imperative. Use the forces, or identify the forces that are being used against you. Okay, me, I'm almost 5 years sober. I got to keep a clear mind. It was no easy feat. I was battling depression, anxiety, depersonalization. I was battling all that. And, but as time progressed, I realized more and more why I had to do these things. I had to get sober. I had to get on a fitness routine. I had to be more serious with my spirituality. I had to be more serious with my studies, more serious with my journaling, with my arts, and serious about my alone time, and that my alone time won't be in vain. It won't be for naught. A person who spends too much time away from society, their brain starts to, how do I say, crumble. That's not exactly the word I'm looking for, but it that's what I mean. Your brain starts to crumble a little bit. It starts to rot because we are tribal creatures. But the problem that you may find in this society is one of many is that you're not around like-minded people. You may perhaps feel like you haven't found your tribe. That's okay. That's fine, because you have a lot of work to do. And as you do the work, you will attract more people who are also doing the work, who are aligned in some regards. Not 100%, but they may be aligned in this area and that area. And for everybody else, you love them for who they are. But you make no mistake about what's going on. You identify as much as possible what's going on around you. And then you will find that everything doesn't require your attention. If we're talking about the art of war, you choose your battles. Every battle isn't for you. So, for example, and I'll be completely candid, because remember, I'm talking about you see it, you got to see the play. You see the play. And for years on end, because I have to be so intelligent and I have to know everything, I would point out the insanity here or there, why you shouldn't do that or do that, and you just kind of sit back and you watch people don't listen to reason, and you realize they don't have your brain. They're living in their own simulation. They're living in their own world, and you get so emotionally attached to people, to adults making terrible decisions, and you're watching their life get worse. And yeah, so my mom, for example, stage 3 kidney disease. It's getting worse. She's gonna be on dialysis soon. I'm pretty sure. It's only a matter of time. She's only 52 years old. I'm 33, almost 34. And you know, she's on 10 medications a day, man. It doesn't end. It doesn't end well if you're on a cocktail of medications. And you know, this brings me back to my overall point, to one of my major points of this video. You gotta see the play. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you are taking a cocktail of medications. You're relying on medications. See, because here's the thing. Part of the reason why my mom's kidneys are failing is because of the medications. You know, that's what happens in a society. It's a trap. You take a medication for this instead of fixing the root problem, and it causes another problem. And then what happens? Then you take medication for that problem, and that will cause another problem, and you take medication for that. It's a whole cycle. That's a system you do not want to be a part of. You got to be a villain. You got to be intelligent. You have to see the play unfolding, okay? As many plays as possible. There's so many attackers coming from different angles in so many fields. You can't blindly follow people, because what you will find is that you are blindly following blind people who are following blind people. It's a never-ending cycle, and it's by design. You know, you understand this. That's why you're watching this video. But yeah, my mom, stage 3 kidney disease, is getting worse. Medications. And you know what she's doing as a pre-diabetic, because her kidneys can't regulate the glucose? Drinking Pepsi. Pepsi. One time an ambulance came to pick her up, and one of the paramedics or something, you know, he was saying, like, basically, stop drinking that shit. That's what killed my father, you know? And it's a bit disheartening to see people do it to themselves. It's like a slow suicide, you know? That's what I liken it to. But part of being a villain is that you learn how to detach, you know? You practice discernment, and you help where you can. But you can see some people are beyond repair. You can't help them, you know? Some people, they gave up a long time ago, and they're just waiting to be buried. And I know that sounds morbid. But it's the unfortunate truth. But it is the truth, and it doesn't have to be your truth. It doesn't have to be the truth of your children. Okay? You have to wisen up. Do not practice cognitive dissonance. If you know that there are aspects about your life that are ruining you, that could hurt you, that could destroy you, that's stunting your growth, that could affect your legacy, do all that you can to step away from this. Do all that you can to step away. All right? You may not know who you are and what your purpose is. And like I tell people, is the same thing I tell myself and remind myself. That's okay. But if you don't know what to do with your life, start with cutting things out. It's going to create a void that's just going to kind of lead you to something greater. Create a void. Stop drinking. Stop smoking. If you're watching too much TV, stop. You're scrolling too much, stop. You know, the adult films, stop. Just stop everything. Okay? Just stop. Start asking some great questions. The more unique your questions, the better. You get an answer, and the answer will bring up a question, and you say, okay, well, I'm gonna ask a question about this and about that's how I spend a lot of my days. At first it was Google, now I'm using Chat GPT. I'm asking all types of questions. You know what I mean? I'm using every tool I have around me. A villain is gonna use what he has and is not gonna wait for some brighter time in the future. Like some angel's gonna come from the sky and just pull you to where you would like to be. You know, you got to do some of the groundwork, and in order to be a clear thinker, you have to get rid of some of that clutter, cleaning up your area, you know, working out, reading the books, making sure your YouTube algorithm aligns with what you would like to see out of your life. So a lot of, like at one point for me, my algorithm was giving me a bunch of motivational videos. Over time it turned into more practical, philosophical things. Just a lot of helpful stuff, resourceful things. I need content